The granary reeked of decay and fear. A guards club rose over a trembling thief. The crowd pressed back, but one junior clerk stepped forward.
Stop. In 4 weeks, everyone here will be that desperate or dead.
The senior clerk spun around, scarlet with rage, and shouted at the disrespect.
Over 30% wasted. Hoarding, spoilage, outright theft. 6 weeks left, not 2 months. Give me the real inventory. I can make the grain last beyond the siege. Every delay steals days from the people.
Quiet. This isn't the place for brawling. But the boy doesn't sound empty-headed. Explain yourself, clerk.
1 hour with the ledger. I'll show the Lord Governor how to feed the city. What do you risk by letting me try?
The guard sergeant looked past the cheap robes, into the clerk's eyes, and saw something rare: certainty.
An audience, then. But if you waste the governor's time, I'll make you regret it. Understood.
The crack. Now break it open, and pray the city doesn't crush me in the process.
The council chamber fell silent as Naoki entered, a junior clerk facing nobles and generals, but his eyes held no fear.
Implement a census. Issue ration cards. Per household. Track every grain sack. Our waste rate drops 30% overnight.
A census, waste rate, you speak like a merchant, not a soldier. This is a siege, not a shop.
And a siege is a war of supply. Our enemy waits for us to starve. I intend to feed every soldier and civilian until they break first. Then I'll prove it. 1 distribution point, 100 soldiers, 1 day. You'll see the difference.
By nightfall, the demonstration was over. A single queue, measured portions, and not one scuffle for bread. The same grain that fed 80 men yesterday fed 130 tonight. The Lord Governor's skepticism fractured. The governor granted Naoki control of the central granary and 10 clerks to begin rationing. A limited victory.
You've borrowed a piece of authority, clerk, but authority can be revoked or buried.
He already plans to sabotage, but the numbers don't lie. If I can just hold on long enough, they'll have no choice but to listen. Every household gets a card. No exceptions. Rations are per person, per week. If someone claims extra, the math breaks.
Within days, cross-checks exposed a sealed warehouse. Inside, grain sacks rotted in the dark, weeks of food hidden deliberately.
This should have been in the granary months ago. Seize every sack, and the factor who let it rot will answer for it.
The grain was moved under guard, the corrupt factor dragged away. But the victory felt fragile. That night, fire swallowed the central granary. The flames rose so fast the bucket brigades barely saved half the stock.
Soak the grain towers. Let the outer sacks burn if you must. Keep the core dry. A week's rations gone. This was no accident, but proving it now would cost me everything.
At dawn, a hungry crowd pressed the distribution point. Fear had turned to fury, and the guards gripped their spears tight.
We'll plant fast crops on every roof. Spinach, radishes. The enemy thinks we'll starve. We'll eat from the sky. If fire can't stop us, neither can the siege. The city will become a living granary.
Weeks later, green shoots covered the rooftops. Spinach and radishes pushed through wooden boxes, giving the city a fragile hope.
3 extra weeks of rations. Maybe 4. The enemy's patience will break before our stomachs.
But the siege only tightened. Trebuchet thundered daily, and the enemy's new general pressed the walls without mercy.
Every stone they waste is a day they lose. Hold the walls, and keep the distribution lines moving.
General Drexel chose that moment to speak publicly, his voice carrying across the battlements.
This clerk's system is a slow death. Better to sally out and die like men than starve like rats.
That afternoon, a siege engine found its mark. A distribution point exploded under a boulder, bodies and bread scattered together.
They didn't just kill people. They undid weeks of trust. How do I ration hope?
Naoki moved the remaining rations deeper into the city, out of trebuchet range, but the damage was already done.
Drexel will demand my head. but the system still holds, if only by a thread.
Alone in the archives, Naoki searched through rotting logbooks. A crumbling map marked an old escape tunnel, overgrown, forgotten, cutting beneath the walls to a river.
A route the enemy doesn't know. If it's still passable, we could move supplies under their noses. Corin, I need trust, not questions. Meet me at the old cistern tonight. Bring a torch and a strong pole.
The cistern led to a wet stone tunnel, water lapping at their knees. The map's ink had bled, but the path remained.
This leads under the wall? We could drown in the dark or meet an enemy patrol at the other end.
They emerged through a mossy cleft onto a narrow riverbank, forested and silent. No enemy tents, no watchmen, only the sound of water and night birds.
A hidden highway. We can bring grain, fish, medicine, everything the siege denies.
3 nights later, a small boat returned through the cave, laden with sacks of grain and salted fish purchased from a friendly village beyond the siege lines.
It worked. A few more runs and we'll have a week's buffer. But if Drexel learns of this...
Drexel can't know. Not yet. This is our lifeline and our secret weapon.
Within a week, General Drexel's inspectors swarmed every warehouse, claiming an audit. Naoki's access to legitimate stores evaporated overnight.
He's on to us. Without official grain, we're running on whatever the boat carries, and that's not enough.
Then the boat needs to run every night. We'll double the loads, triple if we must. The city can't endure another cut.
For 4 nights, the boat slipped through the cave without incident. But on the 5th, Drexel's men combed the riverbank, close enough to hear the splash of poles. Corin dragged the boat into the cave and held her breath. The soldiers' torches flickered just beyond the entrance before they turned away.
We can't risk the cave being found. The operation stops for now.
Without the smuggled supplement, Naoki had no choice but to cut rations by a third. The announcement hit the city like a hammer. At dawn, the crowd didn't queue, they surged. Fists pounded the barricades, and the guards' spear shafts bent under the weight.
This is the clerk's doing. His system starves you while he cowers behind numbers. Give me command, and I'll feed you with steel.
I'll find a way. But first, I need to survive the night and keep the city from tearing itself apart.
Naoki watched the enemy camp from a tower, counting supply wagons like a merchant tracking coin.
4 wagons daily, 2 tons each. In 60 days, their stores run dry. 8 weeks at most.
He transferred the numbers to a map, marking the dwindling supplies. The math was cold but clear.
The enemy is starving. Hold the walls 2 more months, and their stomachs will break the siege before ours.
More months of cowering. We have swords, not just stomachs. A sally tonight could break them.
The Lord Governor, weary of the siege, weighed the options. He trusted the numbers more than the general's bluster. By morning, enemy archers launched leaflets bearing the seal of a captured supply company. We have taken your grain. Your army's hunger is now ours. Surrender before winter, or starve with your city. The council room buzzed with doubt. Drexel's faction crowed that Naoki's math was worthless.
The leaflet is a lie. A single lost convoy doesn't change the math, but I need to prove it.
Within a week, enemy foraging parties raided the countryside daily. Thin horses and gaunt faces appeared at the edge of the camp.
The signs match the math. They're eating their reserves. Another month, and they'll be slaughtering their own supply animals.
A sudden assault erupted on the western wall, a diversion for a desperate food raid. Naoki sprinted to the battlements as arrows peppered the stones.
Archers to the south tower. This isn't a full assault. They're after the rooftop gardens.
A grappling hook caught the parapet. An enemy soldier vaulted over, blade slicing toward Naoki's throat. Corin's sword blocked it inches away.
Get back. I didn't save you from Drexel's fire just to let some starving raider gut you on the wall.
After the skirmish, Corin searched a fallen enemy officer. Inside a bloodied pouch, she found a ciphered note. The note read, "Drexel, hold the siege. More grain shipments diverted to your warehouse. Keep the clerk from discovering the cave.
This is proof. He's selling the city for profit. We take this to the governor now.
Not yet. Drexel will claim forgery. I need numbers that can't be denied. A ledger that proves his theft month by month.
Naoki locked himself in the office, cross-referencing every ledger. For 3 nights, he traced a river of phantom grain.
12 wagons sent to an empty manor. 40 sacks to a dead officer. The waste matches Drexel's circle exactly.
He followed the forgery to its source. A warehouse with no permit, no sign, and grain stacked to the roof beams. Food for 1,000 people, hidden under false names. Drexel's name wasn't on a single paper, but it didn't need to be.
Quickly, copy every entry before the rats come. This book will be his noose.
A spy saw the light under Naoki's door and slipped into the night. The trap was already set. In the alley behind the granary, 3 men stepped from shadow. The club was weighted with lead.
Drop the club. The clerk's under my guard, and I don't give warnings.
They nearly had me, but I have the copies. Now Drexel knows exactly what I am doing. He'll try to kill me, but the book is already safe with Corin.
At midnight, Naoki walked alone to General Drexel's mansion, the copied ledger hidden under his coat.
I know about the warehouse, the false names, and the messages to the enemy.
Of course you do. And it doesn't matter. The city will starve. The siege will lift. And I'll sell the grain at triple the price. My allies will bury any accusation. The governor himself owes me favors. Your piece of paper is worthless.
Even if I testify, under oath, the cross-references will show the truth.
Testify. You won't live that long, boy. And that sergeant who follows you, even your loyal clerks, they all have families.
He's right. If I move now, he'll bury me and kill everyone who helped. I need a different weapon.
Leave the city, or die. I'll give you until dawn to choose.
I won't run, and I won't speak in private. I'll build a system so transparent that even the Emperor can't deny it. Cross-auditing, double entries, a mathematical cage he can't escape. And by the time I am finished, his threats will mean nothing.
For days, Naoki and a single scribe worked behind a sealed door, transferring every grain receipt into a new, impenetrable ledger.
Every entry has a counter-entry. Each page carries a code only I can decode. Tamper with one number, and the sequence breaks.
The verification code was embedded in the margins, mathematical roots invisible to an untrained eye, but undeniable under scrutiny.
Sergeant Corin, if anything happens to me, you take this copy to the Emperor. He'll see the truth in the numbers.
You talk like a dead man, but I'll hold it. If Drexel tries to bury you, I'll make sure the whole Empire hears the reckoning.
That evening, Drexel invited Naoki to a banquet. The wine was poured. Naoki's cup was rimmed with a slow poison.
The scent is off. Almond bitterness. He's trying to kill me here, in front of everyone.
Naoki swapped his cup as he stood to toast. The noble beside him collapsed moments later.
An illness. Be careful, clerk.
I've already made arrangements. If I die, 10 copies of my ledger go to the city's guilds. You'll never silence the numbers.
At dawn, the enemy launched every ladder, every ram, every starving soldier. The final storm had begun.
Archers, volley on my signal. Infantry, hold the breaches. They're starving. They'll break before we do.
Third tower is holding. The granary clerks are carrying water to the wounded. They won't stop.
Hour after hour, the assault weakened. Gaunt enemies stumbled back, their shouts turning to wails. As the sun rose, the besiegers broke. Tents collapsed, engines abandoned. The siege was over. The streets erupted. Weeping, laughing, people poured from shelters to embrace the soldiers who had held. An imperial herald rode through the gates, a golden seal in hand, proclaiming the capital saved by the endurance of its people.
Victory is ours. I led the defense, the walls held by my strategy.
A grizzled captain stepped forward. The clerk fed us, General. The walls held because we had strength to hold them.
He'll hate me more now, But the city is alive. That's the only number that counts.
An imperial summons arrived at dawn. Naoki walked into the throne room, its grandeur dwarfing every council chamber he had pleaded in.
You fed a starving city when my generals could not. Rise, Naoki. You will bear a new title.
A heavy scroll was placed in Naoki's hands, the seal of the Master of Supply, stamped with the War Ministry's mark. Below the imperial eagle, a single word had been inscribed in bold ink: genius.
The Empire's supply is now yours. Reform it, and if anyone obstructs you, they answer to me.
Within hours, Naoki stood before the War Ministry, laying out a web of depots, routes, and cross audits that shocked the old officers.
You think a seal gives you power? The quartermasters will never accept a clerk's ledger.
A wave of protests rose, but the Emperor's word was iron. The old guard could only watch as Naoki's system began to spread.
The real war begins now. Drexel won't accept this. He'll try to bury me with paper.
In his private quarters, Drexel stared at a blank parchment, his pen dripping ink. The frame was already forming in his mind weeks later. Drexel's scribes had completed a perfect forgery, a ledger filled with Naoki's forged signature, showing diverted shipments to a phantom depot. Drexel strode into the throne room, the fake book under his arm, and laid it before Emperor Solarius.
Your Majesty, Naoki has been diverting grain to a private depot. The proof is here. His own ledgers, his own hand.
The Emperor's face hardened as he scanned the entries. Disappointment turned to cold fury.
Arrest him. Bring him here in chains.
Without warning, Imperial guards stormed Naoki's office, binding his wrists before he could speak.
So this is his move. He's using my own ledgers against me.
Dragged through the streets, Naoki met the eyes of the citizens. The whispers of betrayal cut deeper than any blade. Drexel watched from a high window, a smile flickering.
A swift trial, Your Majesty. The people demand justice.
In the dim prison cell, Naoki called through the bars. The guard's answer was a sneer.
I need the Imperial grain ledgers. I have the right to prepare my defense.
I'll bring your books. Drexel's spies won't notice a few ledgers hidden among the rations.
The next day, Corin returned with a basket of bread. 3 heavy ledgers lay hidden beneath the loaves.
Now the real work begins. Every entry, every cross-reference, I'll find the flaw.
By candlelight, Naoki traced the numbers. Hours bled into each other. The ledger's codes aligned, except one.
The grain Drexel claims I diverted doesn't balance. The counter-entries are missing. A fool's error.
On the 3rd night, a guard offered a bowl of soup. Corin pulled the tray away.
Don't touch it. The kitchen is Drexel's. He means to silence you before the trial.
The Emperor read the report. After a long silence, he granted the trial, 2 days. Naoki held the bars, and for the first time, a faint smile crossed his lips. The great hall was packed. Nobles, generals, and commoners crowded the galleries. Naoki was led in chains before the imperial dais.
Before you stands a traitor. His ledger, found in his own office, shows grain siphoned to a private hoard. Witnesses saw his wagons.
A bribed merchant took the stand, voice trembling, reciting the lie. Grain carts under Naoki's seal at midnight.
You may speak, Naoki.
I need the Imperial ledgers. The ones I built myself. Let me show you how they work.
Guards carried volumes forward. Naoki opened them to the first page and laid his own next to Drexel's.
Every entry has a counter-entry. A shipment out must match a receipt in. But here, 40 sacks vanish with no destination recorded.
Doctored pages. He's rewritten them in his cell.
Drexel's face went pale. The bribed witness faltered, eyes darting. The hall grew so quiet one could hear the candles drip. The Emperor lifted both ledgers, comparing the pages himself. His brow furrowed.
These entries do not balance. The missing grain matches exactly the hoard in this ledger, a hoard registered under Drexel's own seal.
Drexel's face lost all color. He tried to step back, but the guards blocked his path.
No, he's twisting the books. I serve the Empire.
Guards, strip him of his rank and chain him. He will face justice for his treason.
Drexel's armor was torn off as he screamed. The bribed witness fell to his knees, sobbing for mercy. The Emperor descended from the dais and stood before Naoki.
Naoki, your genius has saved the Empire twice. Rise, not as a clerk, but as the true master of supply, forever honored.
Guards struck the chains from Naoki's wrists. The crowd erupted in cheers.
It's over, but the cost. I'll carry the weight of this trial forever.
Drexel was dragged to the dungeons to await execution. The date was set, visible on the public board. In a formal ceremony, Emperor Salarius raised Naoki higher than any quartermaster in history. The Master of Supply seal was struck anew, this time forever. The War Ministry pressed the iron stamp onto the parchment. The word genius was now inseparable from his name.
From this day, your cross-auditing system is imperial doctrine. Every depot, every wagon, they answer to you.
Decrees raced across the empire. The old guard protested, but the emperor was immovable.
Every corrupt quartermaster will fight, but numbers don't lie.
That evening, the emperor summoned Naoki to a private chamber. The maps were already spread, and the campaigns were drawn in red.
The northern border will erupt in months. I need this army fed across 1,000 miles of bad roads. Can you do it without a single failure?
Give me authority and 6 months. I'll build a chain that feeds the front lines without a grain wasted.
Then you have my seal. The Empire's blood is now your ledger. Do not let it bleed dry.
No more starving cities. No more phantom warehouses. The war starts now.
The square was silent. Thousands stood shoulder to shoulder, their breath clouding the cold air. On the block knelt a man who had once worn a general's insignia. Drexel's lips moved. A curse or a prayer. No one heard. The executioner's shadow fell long across the planks. The axe fell with a sound that was not loud. The crowd exhaled.
He could have built something. Instead, he chose to rot it from within. What a waste.
He felt no joy, only the weight of a mind lost to greed. Then he turned his back on the block. The crowd parted for him like water. By the time he reached the office door, the first dispatch had already arrived. Reports of enemy movement on the northern border. Estimated supply needs for 3 corps. A war that would test every damned number in his ledger.
They'll call it glory. I'll call it 40,000 tons of grain across mud and blood.
He sat at his desk, the genius seal on a document beside him. The name felt heavier now than any chain.
One war ends. Another begins. But this one, I won't fight alone.
Months later, the northern campaign ended with the enemy's unconditional surrender. Not a single battalion had run out of food or arrows. A herald carried the emperor's commendation through the city to Naoki's door. The word geniuses was now spoken in every barracks. To Naoki, architect of victory, his supply chains did more than steal, they starved the enemy of hope. The empire owes him an unpayable debt.
Architect of victory. Another title to weigh.
That evening, the celebration roared outside his window, but his office stayed silent, but for the scratch of a quill.
They need me to be a legend, but legends don't sleep.
A new dispatch lay on his desk, stamped red. Trouble in the eastern provinces, another campaign, another chain of wagons.
This is my life now. The work never stops.
He looked at the map, all those lines he had drawn, every depot a piece of his own mind. It was a vast machine, and he was its solitary heart.
I can't go back, but I can make sure no other city starves like ours almost did.
Early morning in the rebuilt granary district. Children ran past with loaves in their hands. The distribution queue was orderly. The ledgers open.
They used to beat each other for scraps. Now they queue. No clubs, just cards.
A young clerk sat at a wooden desk, tracing entries in a ledger. The same cross-audit lines, Naoki had invented in a prison cell.
This is what victory looks like. Not maps and marches, but full bellies and honest ink.
Above, the rooftop gardens still spread green across the clay tiles. Radishes and spinach, the same beds he'd planted during the siege.
The city learned to feed itself. Maybe I can finally step back.
A messenger pushed through the crowd, imperial seal in hand. Naoki took the scroll and broke the wax. Master of Supply. Your presence is required at the palace. The eastern border stirs once more.
Always another border. But this time, the city won't starve while I am gone.
He turned toward the palace, the city's hum behind him. The work would never end. But for a moment, he allowed himself to feel that it had been enough. Naoki pushed open the heavy oak door. The logistics map glowed under the lamplight, already marked with the coming campaign.
The eastern border again. I'll need supply bases dug before the snow melts and the roads turn to mud.
He traced a route across the map, past marsh and hill, his finger steady from years of drawing invisible supply lines.
The system holds. It's not about me anymore. It's about the Empire.
On the corner of his desk, the genius seal caught the soft lamp glow. He didn't spare it a glance.
That word was never the goal. The goal was never hearing a child cry from hunger again.
He allowed himself a small smile, tired, genuine, and straightened the collar of his uniform. Then he lifted his quill and leaned over the map. The next campaign was already waiting. Slowly, the view drew back from the office, past the window and the colored supply markers, until only the heavy wooden door filled the frame. On its nameplate, carved deep into the old oak, 2 words, Master of Supply.